Hello, everybody. My name is Oliver Bass, otherwise known as Bass from the Past, joined alongside by none other than Pyro J, and welcome to the Esports.net Recap Show, a show recapping key moments and key events from around the world of esports in the last week. And today, we're kicking this one off talking about MSI and the League of Legends Worlds. We'll be having a new format going into its next season. League of Legends just concluded its last year. The World Championship was in San Francisco this past weekend, but it's not necessarily all too great for them here, Pyro. While it was a successful event, maybe could have been a little bit better in the eyes of some people.
Yeah, well, those people were the viewership, and although they were touting over 1 million viewers, which, by the way, in esports is massive, it really highlights how far Tier 1 can be taken. It was also less than 1 million from the last year. We went from 2.3 million to 1.3 million in viewership, which to those league leaders are kind of raising an eyebrow at. What can we change in order to make sure that we're pushing the envelope farther rather than taking drawbacks? And the biggest concern right now is the tournament structure. As we know, there's a lot of double elimination going on in this structure, in this format. That means the meeting of any team that pops up may not be their last. They still might have another go in that lower bracket. The idea, Bass, is to change from double elimination to single elimination format to kind of up the ante, kind of increase the interest for every single match. I'm curious what you think about this change, because there's been differing opinions.
Yeah, the differing opinions have come from a number of different places as well. One opinion is actually Riot's president of esports, John Needham, who said, "We do think double elimination is great for qualifying the best teams into our biggest tournaments, but at the end of the day, Worlds is one of the biggest sporting events on the planet. Of all the biggest sporting events have single elimination and is a core part of their tournament." So it seems like a lot of people within Riot don't necessarily believe that single elimination is the end-all be-all, but they also don't think that double elimination fits in an in-person event like this. And in my opinion, I kind of agree with them, but I think that there's a core issue here. And this is actually something where you and I come from Rocket League. That's our main background, our main esport, and we've heard this argument a lot, is that, okay, you want to have these in-person events, these huge events, be this cutthroat? We need other events to be able to play in, because otherwise you are taking away a huge majority of the people who are playing within your tournaments. A lot of these people who have large fan bases as well, and they're not being able to play on the largest stages. I think a really good example of this is that it's a North American tournament, and we had no North American teams playing in person. That's it's a problem. The reality is that as much as we want to try and make light of the fact that, oh, it's still successful, LoL seeing over 1 million concurrent viewership, that's a crazy number, it's always, well, can it be more successful? And with this oncoming changes in the next year for the 2023 World Championship, it seems like a lot of people are hopeful at this point, but at the same time, nothing's been confirmed. It's just been rumored that there could be some changes into a more gauntlet-style format, but as it stands right now, we don't actually know if the if the format's going to change. And honestly, I don't necessarily think the format's going to or needs to change as much as I do agree with the second point that we need other tournaments in order for Worlds to be as cutthroat as it stands right now.
Right. Listen, the format changes, they're not confirmed. And of course, format changes aren't going to fix everything either. But any people that are big fans of double elimination don't have to really fear completely as well. You know, there were comments about the fact that qualifications, play-ins for these structures can still be double elimination, but once you get to that final stage, that's where single elimination is highlighted. And honestly, Bass, you and I, we're on the same side of the line here. If you want to move to single elimination, if you want to make it that cutthroat, just have more tournaments. That sounds like the biggest request from the players, and in fairness, should be there. It shouldn't come down to only one showing where you show up once and you're out.
And, well, we've seen this in other Riot games before. It seems like Valorant is really trying to change that one up. They're making LANs a priority, and they're making LANs in a number of different formats with even qualifications underneath it. But as it stands right now, it seems like Riot hasn't necessarily done the same thing with LoL. There are, like we said, rumors that in the future that the format is going to change, but at this point, all we can really do is sit and wait. We're hopeful that LoL can try and regain its viewership as it stands right now. Not necessarily a need for concern, as they're still doing pretty great. Speaking of doing pretty great here, we got to talk about our second topic on the day, Modern Warfare 2 being the best launch in COD history, which is kind of crazy to say, Pyro, because just last week, you and I were covering how this was one of the messiest launches COD has almost ever seen.
I mean, we had the COD campaign come out for just the week, right? Hold off on multiplayer, not there. The campaign came with a little bit, it was a little bit short. The AI was a little wacky. There were bugs galore. Then multiplayer came out. Everyone's excited. That's what we're here to play for. The maps are a little dry. There's literally a highway where cars are blowing you up and you can't stay alive for more than 5 seconds. It's an interesting time. Large party sizes are receiving crashes as well. Yet, this is the first COD in 16 years that is going to be out for not 1 year, but 2. So if you're a COD fan, if you want to believe in this esport, as much investment that's being put into this 2-year COD, especially from the esports scene, to see if that really comes up big, this is the one to buy. This is the one to get involved in. And $800 million in sales. The fastest selling title. Given that context, Bass, may not be that surprising.
No, this is really an incredible success for COD here, and we've talked about this week after week. We've been covering COD here for a numerous amount of shows on the esports.net recap show, and the reality is that COD kind of needed this boost. They were in a very weird state where it didn't feel like they were dying by any stretch of the imagination, but it also didn't feel like they were the same roaring success that we had seen in years past. Before, I think we can both agree, when we were growing up, Call of Duty was the game. You went home and Call of Duty was what everybody was playing. It was what everybody was talking about. I remember being at a middle school lunch table and everybody is talking about the new COD. I actually ended up getting an Xbox pretty much to play COD. So it's a big thing.
How far did you get in zombies was always the conversation.
My gosh.
Yeah, level 20, level 25. I don't know, yeah.
Shout out. The olden days. But now, without zombies, it seems like it's still doing well. Call of Duty is doing great in its current iteration here. So much so that the general manager of Call of Duty, or the general manager, of Call of Duty spoke extremely highly of this positive news. Thank you to Call of Duty players for making Modern Warfare 2's launch one of the record books as well for the highest grossing entertainment opening of the year. It's an honor and a privilege to deliver such a historic launch weekend for the best fans in the world. As amazing as this opening has been, Call of Duty has much more in store. An unprecedented level of support for Modern Warfare's universe is on the horizon, and Warzone 2's launch is right around the corner. It's an incredible time for the franchise, and he's right. This is huge. We need to see this, especially considering that there are a lot of things lined up in the next couple weeks that if they capitalize upon this success already, oh my word, is Call of Duty going to be having a good end of the year.
Everything's set up to do that. It's like the base is loaded right now, and all you gotta do is hit some base hits at the very least. And with the things set up in North Carolina, in Raleigh, the COD League getting started up, COD Mobile World Championships, you got COD Challengers coming up in that setting. That's some really good live events to get the scene excited for the debut of this game. And you already mentioned it, the big things coming, Warzone 2 release, a ranked mode with the new year to come with Call of Duty. It's all set up. The pins are there. Just got to bowl the strike bass. So yeah, the coming weeks of Call of Duty going to be very interesting. Already great sales, some slow welcoming of supporters in terms of the game, but they're on the fast track to success, is what it seems.
And it's success that could last a long time. Again, like you said, with a 2-year plan that they now have, it really has been implemented due to the fact that they're trying to make this esport a successful long-term idea, because the number one complaint you've heard from esports players every single year is, well, it is a new esport every single year. They have to relearn a game. They have to relearn all these different tactics. And in addition to that, you put out a bad COD, you're dealing with that bad COD for a whole year. So at this point, the fact that it is a successful COD, a COD that has had good reception outside of the bugs and the glitches that have happened to said COD, it sounds like this could be something that for long term could be a very successful plan for Call of Duty. But again, really only time will tell. I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I really do think that anything that's going to be this successful out the gate means that it should have a successful esport behind it. And honestly, where it stands right now, like we heard with the LoL topic, viewership for esports has been in a weird state. If COD can get themselves back up to the old viewership of years past, where it was one of the premier tier 1 esports out there, this would be huge for the scene as a whole.
Well, let's see. I mean, everything's set up, like you said, Bass. So Call of Duty, whether it's the league, whether it's the mobile championships as well, like you got all these reasons to stand up and make a 2-year COD work. It's the first of its kind, Bass. It is the first of its kind with a 2-year Call of Duty. So a lot of setup here. Let's hope they can knock them down.
Well, I'm going to hope that they can knock them down, and we're going to hope that you guys tune in next week. That is all that we have for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For myself and for Pyro, stay tuned for more content next week. This has been the Esports.net recap show, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good one.